My name is Clara. I am 26 years old. I live in a big city. I work as an artist. I paint small pictures, flowers on shop walls, and signs for windows. The job is hard, and the money is very little. I live alone in one small room. I have no family. My parents died many years ago. I have no brothers or sisters and no close friends. My room has one bed, one chair, and one small table. I also have one small fan. In summer, the heat is strong. I eat simple food each day, rice and bread, and sometimes I have soup. I never go to restaurants, and I do not buy new clothes. I save every dollar I can. Some days I skip dinner. Some nights I cry quietly, but every morning I wake up and go to work again. This is my life. One cold morning, I was painting a cafe window. My clothes were wet from the rain, and my hands felt very cold. I was almost finished with my work when a man walked into the cafe. He had gray hair and wore a long black coat. He looked about 65 years old. He walked slowly and sat at a table near the door. He watched the rain outside, and then he looked at me. I turned my face away fast. I did not want to talk to anyone. When I finished the painting, I washed my brushes. The man stood up, walked to me, and smiled. His smile was soft and gentle. "You look very tired," he said. His voice was low and calm. I smiled a little. "It is just a long day," I said. He nodded slowly. "You work very hard," he said. Then he walked away. The next day, I painted a wall near the same cafe. The same man passed by on the street. He saw me and smiled. I smiled back. He lifted his hand to say hello, then went into the cafe. Later, he came out and gave me a small cup of hot tea. "This is warm. You can drink it," he said. I said thank you. He smiled again and walked away. I drank the tea. It was warm and sweet. I felt something strange inside. No one had given me tea like that before. The next day, he came again. He brought me tea and bread. "You need to eat," he said. I felt shy. "Thank you," I said quietly. I did not know what else to say. His name was Arthur. He came to see me every day after that. He always smiled and always brought tea or bread. Sometimes he brought small flowers that he said grew in his garden. He never asked difficult questions. He never made me feel scared. He was always gentle. I started waiting for him every day, looking at the cafe door many times. When he arrived, my heart felt warm. I did not know why. He was much older than me. He could be my father, but he was very kind. I liked his calm voice and his warm eyes. They were never cold. One day, he sat with me on a chair outside the cafe. He looked serious. "Clara," he said, "I want to talk to you." I looked at him, and my hands felt cold and nervous. "You live alone," he said. "You have no family. You work hard every day. Life is very difficult for you." I looked down at my hands and did not talk. He said, "I want to help you." I looked at him again. "Why?" I asked. He smiled softly. "Because I care about you," he said. "And I see you." He stood up. "Please think about what I said," he told me. Then he left. That night, I sat in my small room, looking at the table and the empty walls. I thought about his words again and again. No one had ever said they cared for me before. No one had looked at me that way. What did he mean? The next day, I was working again. He came and gave me a white letter. He did not say much. "Please read this," he said. "Then think about it." He smiled and walked away. I held the letter for a long time. I did not open it. I was scared. My heart beat fast. What was inside the letter? That night, I sat on my bed and opened it. The paper was clean, and his writing was neat. The letter said he wanted to help me. He could pay for my room and help with food and work. He said he would not ask for anything in return, but he wished for something too. He wanted to marry me. My hands started shaking. Marriage. I could not sleep all night. I sat by my small window while the rain fell outside again. My heart felt heavy. Was he serious? Was this real? I had no family and no support. Life was hard every day. My job paid very little, and it was never enough. Now someone wanted to marry me and help me. But was it right? I thought about his face, his calm voice, the warm tea, and his gentle smile. He never asked for anything before. But marriage? Was this love or only help? The next morning, I did not go to work. I stayed in my room, reading the letter again and again. I walked around the small space. My feet felt cold, and my head was full of thoughts. That afternoon, he came again. He waited outside the cafe door in the rain. His coat was wet, but his smile was still warm. I walked to him, holding the letter. I read it, I said softly. He waited for more words. I looked at his face, then at the wet street. I will marry you, I said. He did not move at first. Then he smiled, his eyes soft. Thank you, Clara, he said. There was no hug, no kiss, and no big moment. Just two people in the rain, two hearts trying to understand something new. He said we could marry next month in a small wedding with no party, just a paper, a simple ring, and a promise. That night, I sat on my bed again, looking at my hands. They felt both warm and cold. I asked myself again, did I choose right? Will I be safe? Will I regret this? The rain outside was steady and soft. I told myself, time will show. The next morning, I went back to painting. My hands moved the brush, but my mind was full of thoughts. A new life was coming, a strange life, maybe better, maybe not. But I had said yes.
The days passed slowly. Arthur did not come every day now. He said he wanted to give me time and space. I kept working, painting windows and walls, trying to keep my mind busy. But the letters stayed in my bag, and his words stayed in my head. I thought about the wedding and his offer. It still felt strange, but I had said yes. One morning, Arthur came again. He brought a paper with a date on it, the wedding day. He said, only a few people will come. No party, just a small moment. Only if you still agree. I looked at the paper and said, yes, I will be there. I told no one. I had no one to tell. I did not buy a new dress. I had no money. I found an old white dress in my closet. It was simple. I washed it with my hands and ironed it. It looked clean and soft. I put a white ribbon in my hair. The wedding day came. The sky was gray with clouds. The air felt warm but heavy. I walked alone to a small building at the edge of the city. Arthur waited outside. He wore a black suit and looked calm. He held small flowers from his garden. Hello, he said. You look nice. Thank you, I said. We went inside. Only 5 people were there. I did not know them. They were his old friends. The man who did the wedding was kind and smiled at us. The room was quiet, no music played. There were only our hands, our eyes, and 2 simple rings. Arthur said, "I will care for you always." I said, "I will try." We put the rings on, and the man said we were married. Arthur looked at me with soft eyes. "Let us go home," he said. We left the building. No one clapped or cheered. It felt like a slow dream. His house was far from the busy streets. We rode in a small car. I looked out the window. My heart was beating fast. I had never seen his home before. The house was small but strong, with big windows and old walls. It smelled like flowers and wood. Many books sat on shelves. The chairs looked soft, and the curtains were thick and red. The air felt warm. "This is my house," he said. "It is your house now, too." I looked around. "It is very quiet," I said. "Yes," he said, "but it is safe." That first night I slept in a new room. The bed was large, and the pillow was soft, but I could not sleep. I looked at the ceiling. I felt like a guest. I was not scared, but I was not calm either. Arthur did not come to my room. He gave me space and did not ask for anything. That made me feel better. He was gentle and respectful. Still, I asked myself, is this really my life now? The next morning, I woke early and went to the kitchen. Arthur was already there. He made tea and bread. The smell was sweet. A small cup waited for me. "Good morning," he said. "Good morning," I said. We ate quietly, but it was a warm quiet. Each day was the same. He made tea, I helped in the kitchen, and he worked in his garden. I watched him from the window. He sang little songs and looked peaceful. One afternoon, when it was raining, he came inside with a box. "This is for you," he said. "Books." I opened the box and saw storybooks with easy words and lovely covers. "Thank you," I said, and I smiled a little. After that, we began to talk more. I asked him about his garden, and he told me about the flowers. I asked him about his past, and he spoke softly. He said he never had a wife before me and never had children. He worked in a bookshop long ago, and now he enjoys growing plants and reading. I listened to his stories. They were simple, not stories of adventures or far places, but they were gentle stories. His voice was calm, and his eyes were warm and kind. One evening after dinner, he gave me more tea. "I am happy you are here," he said. I looked at him and felt something new in my heart. Not fear or duty, but warmth. "Thank you," I said. The next morning, sunlight came through the big windows. I woke up and smiled a little. I walked to the kitchen. He was baking bread again. He looked at me and said, "Try this one." The bread was warm. I took a small bite. It tasted soft and sweet. That day, he showed me his garden. Many flowers were growing and the herbs smelled fresh. "Nature teaches us to wait," he said. I liked those words. We sat outside for a long time, talking about books and small things. He never asked about my past or told me how I should feel. He only listened and smiled. That touched my heart. I started to see him in a new way, not only as an old man, but as a kind man with a gentle soul, someone who never wished to harm me, someone who gave without asking for anything. One night, we sat outside on the porch. The stars were bright and the air felt cool. I held my tea and looked at him. He said nothing and I said nothing, but I felt safe. Maybe this was more than help. Maybe something was growing between us. It was small and slow, but real. The next day, I helped him in the kitchen. I made soup and he made bread. We laughed when I dropped my spoon and he helped me clean it. He said, "You are doing very well." That evening, we ate together, and I did not feel like a visitor anymore. I felt like part of the home. Later, I walked outside alone and saw 2 women from the market. They looked at me and whispered. One said I married him only for money. Their words hurt me deeply. I felt ashamed and walked home fast. Arthur saw my face when I came inside. He softly touched my hand. "Words do not matter," he said. "I know who you are." I did not cry, but my eyes were wet. That night, I asked him, "Why did you help me?" He looked up at the sky. "Because you needed kindness," he said. Something warm moved inside my heart. No one had ever said such words to me before. The next morning, I woke up early, made tea for him, and took it to him. "Thank you," he said. This time, I smiled first. Many weeks passed. Life became calm and peaceful. We shared stories, tea, and small meals. We worked together, speaking few words, but they were honest words. I looked at his eyes more and saw the way he looked at me, not with demand or control, but with care. I began to feel something new. I did not want to hide anymore. I wanted to stay. I was not sure if this was love, but it was more than duty. It felt true. One morning, Arthur left early for the city. I stayed home, drank tea alone, and looked at the books he gave me. The house felt extra quiet. I waited near the window, watched his garden, and listened to the wind. I missed him. When he returned in the evening, he brought me small flowers. "Just for you," he said. My heart beat faster. I took the flowers and smiled wide. "Thank you," I said. That night, I sat near the window and touched the little necklace he gave me. It was not expensive, but it was the first gift I wore because I wanted to. Later that evening, he made tea and sat near me. He said, "You seem happier now." I looked at him and nodded. "Yes, I think I am." I said nothing more, but I felt it inside. Not fear or sadness, but peace. I did not feel lost now. Each day felt softer. We worked in the garden, made bread, and I painted a small part of the kitchen. He said it looked lovely. I smiled more, and he noticed. He said my eyes looked brighter, and I felt stronger inside. Then the seasons changed. The air grew cool, the sky looked clear, and the flowers opened wide. The rooms felt warm and safe. One evening, we sat near the fire. He looked at me kindly and held my hand. "Are you happy, Clara?" he asked. I looked at him for a long time. Then I said, "I married you for money, but I stay now because I want to." He touched my face softly. I moved closer, and our lips touched for the first time. It was gentle and warm, not for money, not for need, but for love. That night, we sat quietly. He held my hand, and my heart felt light. I said softly, "At first, I was unsure. Now I feel everything." He kissed my forehead. "So do I," he said. The days after that were slow and simple, but everything felt new. We laughed more, cooked new food, walked outside, watched birds and clouds, and talked about everything and nothing. One day, I went to town alone. I brought fruit and flour and smiled at people. They smiled back. I did not feel small or ashamed. I felt like I belonged. Then I heard two women talking again. "She only wanted money," one said. "It's not real love." Their words hit me, but this time I did not run. I stood still, turned around, and looked at them. I did not speak, but I looked into their eyes. Then I walked away slowly with my head high. I was not their story. That evening, I told Arthur. He listened and said, "People talk when they do not know the truth. We know the truth. That is enough." I nodded. Yes, I believed him and believed in us. We continued our simple life. He showed me how to make sweet jam, and I showed him how to paint tiny flowers on the wall. We made a small garden chair and sat there many afternoons, our hands together, our hearts open. One morning, I brought him tea again. He kissed my hand softly. "Thank you, Clara," he said. "You bring light to this house." I looked at him and said, "You do the same." Later, he became sick for 2 days. I cared for him. I made soup, cooled his head, and read to him. When he slept, I watched him. I felt scared, but sure, I did not want to lose him. When he recovered, he smiled and said, "You stayed with me." I said, "Of course." Then I whispered, "I love you." It was the first time I said it. He looked at me with tears. "I love you too," he said. The next day, I painted our garden with flowers, a chair, and 2 cups of tea. I gave it to him, and he placed it near the door. "We will see this always," he said. Many seasons passed. Our love grew like the garden, not loud or fast, but deep and strong. I did not feel lost anymore. I felt loved and brave. One afternoon, we sat outside, holding hands, looking at the sky. He said, "You saved me." I said, "No, you saved me." He smiled. Maybe we saved each other. And I knew it was true. What began as a marriage for money became something greater. It became real love. Love that grew slowly like flowers. Love built on care and kindness. Love that taught me I was worth loving. Sometimes the best gifts come when we do not expect them. Sometimes love finds us when we feel lost. And sometimes what looks like one thing becomes something completely different. Something beautiful, honest, and worth keeping forever.